Understanding your insurance rates, policies, and options can be confusing. So Joel Dunham with Ovation Insurance is here to share more about our home and renters insurance. Hi, Joel. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Jessica.
Yeah, so I'm sure so many people have questions regarding this topic because it can be sometimes confusing to decide what type of insurance we need to protect the place we live. So you actually offer home and renters insurance. So can you break down the difference between the two?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. If you own the home, you need homeowners insurance. If you are a renter, then you need to have renters insurance. A lot of apartment complexes are now requiring that, and so you can oftentimes get it through them, or you can get it through your own company, whatever you want to do.
And when they require it, I always see like these limitations, right? You have to have a certain liability amount. You have to make sure that the pricing is specifically what they suggest with the overall package. But I also noticed there are additional options you can add to the package. So how would one determine what they need to fully protect their home? So let's start with home insurance.
Yeah, so it depends on your level of risk. So if your home has certain features, or if you own certain items, then those are things you want to protect. Most insurance companies are now offering replacement cost at the full amount of whatever the home is worth at the time, but they're also starting to sort of offer additional coverages as well. So equipment breakdown would be a coverage you could look at to cover your electronics, your heating, your air conditioning, service line to cover the lines that run under the house or under the ground up to the house. If you've ever got one of those letters in the mail from AEP or your electric company offering that, it kind of works similar to that. And then there's others like cyber insurance that you can add on to your homeowners as well, or your renters, which will protect you from cyber extortion, even cyber bullying, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, there's a number of things you can add to it, and they seem to be adding to that list every year based on what the risks are in the current environment.
I would have never thought cyberbullying would go with home insurance. That's really fascinating. Is that if someone taps in or hacks your security system or something, or is this like a extortion?
Yeah, so if one example would be if they lock up your phone or lock up your computer and basically demand, you know, I want $10,000 or 2 Bitcoin or whatever it is they're looking for, you can turn that into your insurance company and they'll work with you to get that resolved.
Wow. Fascinating. Okay, so jumping over to renters insurance, this one's a little bit different, of course, because when you rent an apartment, you don't own the whole building. And so there are some things that can happen that's out of your control. And so when someone has renters insurance, and let's say that, you know, we're going into the cold season now, let's say that a pipe busts and there's flooding that takes place. Does renters insurance cover your actual property, or is it more for the apartment's property?
It really depends. So your apartment complex will usually ask you for a certain level of liability. So if something happens on your premises, you're protected and they're protected as well. They might ask to be additionally insured or listed or something like that. But if you're talking about your belongings, that's where you want to select what you have.
Right.
So if you have water damage to your items, then those could, yes, be a part of your policy and paid out on that renter's policy.
And just talking about taking advantage of being, I like to say, proactive instead of reactive in those situations, what are some tips that those who own a home or rent an apartment can do now to prepare? Because you own an insurance agency, and I'm sure when you're placing these claims, it's like, okay, it would have been great if we had what in advance? Yeah,
so some basics would just be general maintenance, and this is something that's becoming much more important and looked at by insurance companies. So, you know, especially letting them know if you've done these things, if you're proving to be a responsible homeowner or renter and you've upgraded your heating units or your plumbing or whatever it is that you've done to your home, especially your roof, then those are things you can not only get discounts for, but maybe even open up additional options as far as policies that you qualify for to get better rates. And so general home maintenance is a big thing right now. And on top of that, know what your options are as far as where you live and what is available to you on the policy to make sure that what you own is protected, whether that's scheduling something of really high value, like let's say that you own an art collection, for instance. That's something that you might have a little bit of coverage on your renter's policy for, or your homeowners, but it's not going to cover the whole thing if it's several $1,000s worth. So make sure you have those items listed specifically so that you know it's on there.
Right, and what about taking photos? Is this something that is important, to take photos of all of your valuables and perhaps document like when you bought it and what was the value of it?
Yes, always do that.
Okay.
In fact, some insurance companies are now asking you to do that.
Oh.
So, whether that's documenting it all on a sheet, or whether that's going through and taking photos, or even just taking your camera and walking through your home and filming everything that you own, that is going to save you a ton of time on a claim, and there's going to be a lot less back and forth on what was owned and what's owed.
And as people are looking at comparing rates and trying to determine which insurance company should they go with, what would you say is just a top tip to play the field a little bit and to understand how to get the best rates?
Yeah, so obviously, my plug is check with an independent agent.
Yeah.
But, just in general, the market is so wild right now. So many companies are stepping back or making changes to what they're offering. The best I can tell you to do is ask.
Yeah.
Right now, because the market is changing so rapidly. Anything I say right now could be very different a week from now.
Right.
So talk to someone, communicate with your carrier or communicate with your agent, and make sure that you know what you're looking for, and make sure you know what the options are, because chances are, until things clear up and until the market gets better, that's going to keep changing.
Yeah, ever-changing industry for sure. Thank you so much, Joel.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it. And if you would like more information about Ovation Insurance, we'll have their website listed below. And I'll see you after the break.